Hello, I'm the Irresolute Cartographer. This is the game Factorio by Wub Studios, I think? WBE, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. Anyway, it's a game about production. You crash land on a planet, and it is the goal of the game, just a quick view of the technology screen here, to start from the crash landing and get yourself the technology to build a rocket and launch yourself off the planet. Now, obviously, from one person crash landing on a planet to getting off, that's going to take a lot of material, a lot of technology, and you can see here I've got some bugs attacking me right now. Some of the natives to the planet. Well, anyway, so you have to set up a whole bunch of automated systems, get everything running, and eventually it'll lead to the point where you can leave. Now, this is a very well fleshed out game for an alpha. I've enjoyed it for around 80 hours. I've played multiplayer with some of my friends, and yeah, it's a very enjoyable game. Now, I figured I could start this thing out with just a little bit of a view of the combat here. I'm mining iron up here, just as a side note. Shipping that back up to my main base, up to the north that you can see on the mini map over here, where I'm currently refining that into iron and then turning it from that into other products. I like this game a lot because a lot of my work is done as a production engineer, and so this actually is, it's kind of like the fun version of doing my job. So, alright, so in order to attack these guys down here, I've got weapons over here. I got some body armor, and I got a couple of guns. I don't have a shotgun yet just because I haven't gotten around to making one. They are very useful, though. I've got a submachine gun, a pistol, and I've loaded each of them with armor-piercing rounds. These turrets here I set up, they also have armor-piercing rounds, and they fire at these enemies whenever they get close enough, so long as they've got ammunition. So, the way I've found to be the best way to attack these sorts of places is to basically do an advancing wall of turrets. So that thing's now loaded. Build some defenses around it. These are just stone walls. Just a little bit at a time. You keep moving up, and then you can go back and you can remove the turrets from their previous locations. Move them forward, and they can start firing from the new position. I'm just gonna open up a couple new positions here, have them ready to go. The enemies don't typically attack walls unless there's something directly behind it, so I can set the wall up, leave the turret there, and then they have to run around the wall to get to it. Now, these are the lowest level enemies, which means they're very easy to defeat, especially if you've got armor-piercing rounds. And you can see there, that's where they spawn from, those two different spots, and you can see there's a biter spawner there and a spitter spawner there. Now, I don't think that I've seen any spitters yet in this game, but I've seen them in previous games, and they have a ranged attack, while these biters are obviously just a melee attack. Let's get that in there. See, now that turret's taking that. Okay, and it's dropped some alien resources. Sorry, technology screen again. Let's see what I want to advance. Yeah, I'll go with that. Alright. I came down here, not to antagonize the aliens, but to harvest the local iron. Unfortunately, though, my presence in the area was enough of an antagonist to them. So, and okay, this area is now safe. There's a little bit of copper there on the ground. Okay, and I'm gonna move my defensive turrets back to their original spots. I'm just gonna leave the walls. I don't really need to move them. There's no, I mean, stone is easy to come by. It doesn't have that many uses. Walls is a perfectly good one. So you can see here I've got these electrified miners here constantly pulling iron off the ground. And the power is actually coming from my main base. Now, in the past, I've made some very inefficient bases because I built them as one massive base with everything right next to each other. In this case, things are pretty close to each other, but I've separated them out into specific blocks, each one producing its own thing. Now that's not always possible because obviously right here the stone is right next to the iron that I had in my initial base, so those two sites are right next to each other. But this right here, I produce stone bricks here, and some of those get stored so I can use them to pave roads like this. Other ones get sent right over here to these little assembly factories, and they get turned into stone walls. As you can see, I've got quite a bit. That's why I was comfortable leaving those ones down there. Now this is my iron refining area, and again, it was right next to the coal area, so hopefully as the coal disappears I'll be able to finish off the iron area. This is my radar. It's constantly broadening the map. Any red spots you see here are enemies, the little bugs. This, I believe, is a desert over here. This is copper, if you see any orange. These pink, purplish spots, they're oil wells. And then that's coal, copper, yeah. Now there's also uranium in the game. I have not seen that yet, but I'm assuming it spawns further away from the start. There are trains in this game, along with there being all these conveyor belts, which means that you can get to farther off distances and bring things around and build an entire network across a vast area. And the world does generate. So it's not obviously there's no real such thing as an infinite map, but if you don't put any dimensions in when you're generating the map, it'll generate infinitely. So. Alright, so this is my steel manufacturing area. This is just with some upgraded furnaces in it compared to these ones. And the steel is combining with copper coming in from my... Okay, let's show that. That's where I mine copper right there. The copper goes over here to the copper refining area where it comes out as copper plates. The copper plates, this is just where I had extra copper in my inventory and I was moving copper production around, and I ended up with a bunch of it left over, so now I've got these little arms constantly dropping copper plates onto the belt anytime there's a spot. But anyway, so the copper comes around here. It can go up into here where it's turned into copper cable for use in making things like electronics, or it comes around this way and is sent in here to make red science. You use different colors of science to advance your tech level. Or it comes all the way over here to make armor-piercing rounds, which I've constantly being produced here. And these are very valuable. I mean, not in a sense of, I guess, monetary value. There's not really monetary value in this, but what I mean is it's extremely important for your survival, but it's not really the high technology thing you're looking for. Now up here is where I've got my science and research going on. And unfortunately, things are a bit inefficient over here right now. You can see that about half of these are buzzing, the other ones are not. And that's because the scientific production is just not... The green production doesn't seem to be up to snuff at the moment. I've got plenty of red science, but the green science is lagging behind a bit. So let's go back to the iron production line. The iron is coming out here, running around, and here it splits. Goes into here where it gets turned into cogs. But then it also comes over this way and it's a split again, and half of it goes into producing these circuit boards and the other ones go into producing these conveyor belts. Now the circuit boards combined with more iron and more cogs go up in here, and that's where they're combined into these assembly arms. Well, not assembly arms, but what are they called? Inserters. These yellow things right here where they're grabbing items from the little factories and dropping them off on the belt. So these inserters are then going over to combine with the conveyor belts that I was producing in this other area, and together those things are producing green science, which is going into here, which is how I'm fueling my current expansion on the tech tree. So that's really just the grand overview of my base. I have not yet developed this oil here yet. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, you can see I've constantly got small attacks going on, but I typically ignore them because the more you attack the enemy, the more they evolve, and the more they attack you with worse and worse enemies. Harder and harder to kill. These are worms in the ground over here. If you get near them, they come out of the ground and spit stuff at you. And these are biters all surrounding this little biter spawner. Yeah, here comes one of their little typical attacks. They do send some larger ones occasionally. And there's a larger nest down there. And if you look at the map, you can see there's a pretty massive one up there. They start to take notice of you because of pollution, which I'll just show you real quick. My power plant is entirely coal burning. Takes water from this lake, and it passes it through these boilers, which are constantly being fed a stream of coal coming off my coal field. With the boilers heated, the water comes rushing in from these offshore pumps. It runs into the steam generators, steam engines, sorry, not generators obviously, and it produces electrical power, which is how I'm running all my electric mining drills, the inserters, and all that stuff. Now, these furnaces still do require coal, but there is an advanced version of the furnace that does not take coal, and so that's a way to reduce your pollution. You can also build, where are they? Solar panels, but they produce, you can see right there, maximum output of 60 kilowatts. They don't produce power at night. While the steam engines produce 510 kilowatts, so 510 versus 60, so it's a significant advantage using steam. But there actually is a way to get around this issue, which is that you can actually do what they do in real life with solar plants, where they store, well, just real quick, if you got the whole solar array arrayed around a water tower, you can focus all the reflected sunlight onto that water tower, and it heats water, which then runs a turbine when it becomes steam. You can do the same sort of thing here, where if you've got the solar panels, you can use them to heat the water. I believe I've seen that before. Well, anyway, you can store hot water, and then you can use the hot water, so long as it's at 100 degrees Celsius or more, to run these steam engines. Now, occasionally, if I look on this pole, it'll show that my electrical production has gone down, and it's no longer meeting the requirement. If that green bar over there is no longer full, at that point, I just add another row of steam engines. I will probably eventually get into adding solar panels, just because you want to antagonize the aliens as little as possible, because, again, they just constantly get worse over time. There's no way to get around that. And you can get into a no-win situation if they completely surround your base and they end up having enough of their numbers and you have not enough materials to expand outward. Now, all these things above here take science I just don't have. I've only got red and green. It takes blue and purple for a lot of these other things. Now, I can work on a lot of these other ones, not that right there, but you can have robots, and that's the thing. There's even, I'm 4 hours or so into this map, I think. Maybe 5, and even with that much time in, I still have not even scratched the surface of what you're capable of doing. And this is on an individual map. There is a campaign. I haven't gotten all the way through it yet. It can be difficult at points. I've really just been enjoying the sandbox mode, though. Looks like I've actually got enough iron coming in now that I'll probably need to open up a secondary iron production line, or just replace these stone furnaces with steel ones. And I'll do that real quick just to show you what sort of effect that has. But going back to what I was saying before about just barely scratching the surface, you can set it up to where you don't even have to build these things anymore. Like right now, I have to build each individual one of these components. It's an automated sort of thing. So, for example, I'm going to be replacing, let's just say this section of 10 furnaces. So I just click on there, and you can see down here in the bottom left corner, it's producing them. But you can even set it, but I have to go in and manually place them. You can get to the point where you can make blueprints, and then you can have basically just a little team of flying robots that you tell them, I want you to go build this thing right here that I've got on this blueprint over there in that location, and they'll lay out the entire thing including all the belts, the inserters, furnaces, whatever it is that you've got going on. And so, I mean, you can really automate a lot of these processes. And then along with that, you've got the ability to build these trains that go across the landscape. And again, I haven't even gotten to the point of building a train yet, but they've got things already that I can show you. Like I got train signals, train stops, the ability to build rails, diesel locomotives, cargo wagons. I can build a car. I don't have any engine units yet, but I've built a car before, and they're very helpful for getting around the landscape. They can't go through trees, and they do get damaged if you crash into things, but eventually they'll be able to use a road like this. Now this road increases my running speed by 30%, but there's even better ones like this concrete here, which increases it by another 10%. There's hazard concrete, which is the stylized version of concrete. You can build landfill out of stone, and that's actually how I did a lot of this, because this was a really swampy area like the rest of it. So I expanded the land, and now I've got a walkable path here straight down to that iron field I needed access to. Alright, my steel furnaces are ready. So I'm going to go and replace this first line here of stone furnaces. And the neat thing is that they've optimized this so that I don't have to remove that furnace and replace it. I just drop it right on top. And the old stone furnace plops into my inventory. I probably won't do anything with that. If anything, I'll use it to make boilers for more steam engines eventually. That right there. So, and along with the ability to store hot water, so that's something I can just show you, tell you about real quick, because I remembered what it was I was trying to tell you before. Solar power works perfectly great during the day. It does not work at night, obviously. But if you've just got a set of boilers running during the day, producing hot water, but you don't have the need to run the steam engines, you can have the boiling hot water from the boilers go directly into one of these storage tanks. And then at night, when the solar power goes off, you can have that hot water go from the storage tank into the steam engine. It'll automatically start using it because everything's optimized in that way where if you don't have enough power, if you've already got enough power, then you won't have these things, some of them turn on, or they won't be working at their optimal capacity at least. And so at night when those solar power panels go off or not go off, but are no longer effective, then the steam engines that are connected to your fluid system, including these storage tanks, it'll go online. And at that point, it'll take care of the loss of power due to the end of the day. Now already you can see the drastic increase in iron production coming off of this line versus these two lines over here. And part of that is due to the fact that I don't have it splitting quite well, and I need to figure out a better way to do that than I've currently got it. These splitters will make it go from one track to two, and it just automatically splits it every time a piece enters. It goes to the right or goes to the left, and alternates every single time. I'm trying to even that out by having it so that when it comes in and hits this one, it goes right, left. This one goes automatically into here, it goes left, right, and then it can even hit this. And so I'm just trying to have it hit enough left and rights to try to kind of shake it almost into going into being an even stream running through here. Now, it's still, you can see that my iron production isn't great. So I'll produce more steel furnaces. And it's got that thing where you right click and you get 5, left click you get 1, or you can shift click and it'll automatically make as many as you have. Just to show you a couple of other things in here. Tools, you automatically start off with like a spoon basically. You can barely cut anything. It takes a good 30 seconds to mine a single piece of coal. But you can build an iron axe very early on. And then you can make steel axes. These repair packs are for repairing your stuff when they get damaged by bugs. Or when you accidentally shoot them, you can damage your own stuff. Blueprints, deconstruction planner, blueprint book. Boiler, steam engine, I've talked about those. Lamps, light things up at night, obviously. Solar panels and accumulators. Accumulators, like you can see in that tooltip, store electrical energy. While what I was talking about before stores thermal energy to become electrical energy. Burner miner drill are the first automated drills you get access to. They burn coal in order to mine what's directly underneath them. They're very inefficient though, and they mine very slowly, and they've only got a mining area of 2x2. These electrical mining drills require electricity, but they mine 3x3, and they do it much faster than these 2x2 burner drills. Offshore pumps don't require any energy, but they do pull water off to make your generators work. Uh, Pump jacks work the oil wells. Stone furnace, first version of the furnace you get. Then there's the steel furnace, and then the electrical furnace. I don't have access to the ability to make the advanced circuits, that red circuit right there, yet. Once I get that ability to make that, I'll probably start making some electric furnaces, but they do take a large amount of power consumption. You can see right there, that takes 180 kilowatts of power, which means that I would have to very seriously increase my power production to make full utilization of electric furnaces. You got Assembly Machine 1, which can craft items that require 2 ingredients. Assembly Machine 2 that can take up to 4 ingredients. And there's actually an Assembly Machine 3 that it's not showing yet. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Maybe I've got the ability to make it, maybe not. Let's see. Okay, well that's the next thing I'll start it on. Just a real quick mention here, these laser turrets. Laser turrets do a lot of damage, but they also take a lot of power. If you've got a large amount of laser turrets, you're likely to start losing power when they start firing, so you're actually going to have the rest of your systems go offline. So let me... Oh, and these steel furnaces also take power. And so, let's see, my electricity looks fine right now. Let's see if this affects that at all. Placing these stone furnaces with steel furnaces. Not close enough to those in. Okay. Alright. Now then, let's see if that's... Now it looks like my electricity is still going strong. Let's take a look at the graph here, which I like the feedback you get in terms of graphs and charts. So I've got a production of 20 of these, producing a total of... Well, they produce as much as you need. As much as they're capable of to... Okay, just, sorry to restate this. They produce as much as you need to a certain point. They can only produce a certain amount, but they will not constantly be producing at 100% if you don't need 100% production. Now, I do have a strange thing going on right now where it looks like the water they're using isn't quite 100 degrees. I'm not sure why that's the case, but anyway. It doesn't seem to have affected my energy just yet. They've still got enough capacity to handle that. But you can see there's more iron coming off these production lines now. And let's see, I need more steel. Oh, it's a quick upgrade. That's the nice thing about having as many of those research stations as I have, is it stacks the research speed. So long as they are supplied with the red and green science, they'll keep producing. Alright, so I picked up all that steel. Not enough to make all the furnaces I need. I might be low on bricks, though, actually. Yeah, I'm probably low on bricks. Because it takes 8 steel plates and 10 stone bricks. So I'll head down to my brick production area, grab a bunch of these, and there we go. So I'll make 10 more of those. Now, along with that, I got an oil refinery here, which is obvious in terms of what it does, but it produces light crude, heavy crude, and natural gas. Now, you can provide additional upgrades through the technology to make it so that you produce more or less of a specific product. And then you can also work out specific refining processes in the chemical plant to turn things like heavy crude into light crude into natural gas. All these things have different uses. They've got different products that they go into. Let's see if I can give you an example here. Sulfuric acid takes water and sulfur. Sulfur comes from the chemical plant. Let's see, from the use of petroleum gas with water. So you got to use a chemical plant to combine water and gas to make sulfuric acid. Then you have to use that sulfuric acid to make things like batteries and stuff like that, right down there. Yeah, iron plate, copper plates, sulfuric acid. So this game is all about setting up supply lines and stuff like that. And like an engine unit right here takes a steel plate, an iron gear wheel, and pipe. Each one of those things takes several things to do. The steel plate has to start out as iron ore, be processed into iron plates, be processed further into steel plates. The iron gears are a little bit, well, they're actually the same level of complexity. You just don't have to refine them again once they're iron plates. You just have to turn them into gear wheels. The pipe's the same sort of thing. Now, the, let's see. Yeah, okay, so the Assembly Machine 3, it doesn't show it here yet because I guess I don't have access to it. Assembly Machine 3 can even take in liquids. which is how you can do things like make sulfuric acid, which takes a solid sulfur, a solid iron, and it has to combine it with a liquid water. And again, you can produce solid fuel, which is another form of fuel along with coal. You can produce, oh yeah, wood also has its own, this can be used as a fuel, but typically use it for boxes and other things like that as well. Iron plate, copper plate, steel plate, all self-explanatory. Plastic bar, petroleum gas, and coal. So that's another use for coal, because eventually I'm going to get to the point where I'm not using coal for anything other than probably making plastic. You may have to make empty barrels, which you can then use to store crude, or you can just use these overall storage tanks, but if you're transporting from place to place, you're going to need these empty barrels. You got crude oil barrels and the ability to empty crude oil barrels, copper cable, iron sticks that you use to make things like lamps and tools and things like that, iron gear wheels, different electronic circuits, engine units, electric engine units, explosives, which you can use to make some of these weapons. And the flamethrower is one of the weapons that requires the use of oil from the ground. I've also got these little defensive capsule bots that I can throw out into the air to help me out. Landmines. I'm looking forward to when I get constructor robots, by the way. I don't have any yet, and so you can also build gates in the walls, which I'll just give you a little demonstration of because I've got some over here. Okay, I've also got enough of these now to replace the rest of these. And I'll also be able to give you a glimpse of, probably this is going to sap my electrical production. We'll see. Let's see. Wow, that's handling it. Not sure how, because that has to be a drastic increase on the coal, unless I'm mistaken in thinking that these take power and they don't. No, it seems to take power. This is recording. I don't know. Let's see. Huh. If it is using it, it doesn't seem to be anything serious. But you can see here the main consumption of electricity is going to these electric mining drills. And this is the neat thing too. You can see exactly where your power is flowing. You can see over the course of, looks like I've probably been playing this like 6 hours or so, maybe 7. Anyway, you can see how my my power needs for the electric drills have gone up as the efficiency of my assembly plants have increased, and so the lines are not just clogged up with ore like these are right now. But along with that, you can look at production of products, not just power. And you can see here I'm producing a lot of iron plates. Less copper plates because I just don't have as many uses for copper as I have for iron at the moment. I mean, iron I'm turning into these iron gear wheels, into steel, into the, where are they? Oh, keep shifting back for electric circuits. And you can see how much of this armor piercing round I'm producing. And then you can see exactly what I'm consuming at the same time. And over the past 10 hours, you can see how my iron production has dramatically increased. And how my copper production kind of peaked at this point and then dropped off to nothing and then came back and has stayed relatively steady for a while now. And that the entire reason that that's happening is because I'm using copper to make science. I'm constantly using science, so it's using a constant amount of copper. Along with that, I'm using it to make these armor-piercing rounds. Here are the gates, though. They activate automatically when you get near them. Let's see if there's anything else to show you at the moment. I'll probably make another video later on when I've got maybe a railway or something like that. Or I can even just do, let's see if I can, real quick, before I say it. Yeah, I can do that. I'll show you how to, like what it looks like to have the crude oil coming out of the ground and everything. Okay, so I'll make just a single pump jack for the moment, because I'll probably need that iron for other stuff as well. Oh, and just another thing. All these power lines are the little tiny ones that you originally make out of wood. I've gotten access now to medium electric poles and the large electric poles, the large ones being over there, running all the way down to that other field. And they just get different ranges. Like the this small electric pole, you can see it's got this little tiny range on it. The medium one has a larger range on it, but it also takes steel to make it. And the large one has a tiny range on it, but it also has a very long range for the wire to run. So this, you can see that says, I think that's maybe even Let's just get a closer look. So it looks like it's got a just a little ring of power around it. Yeah, the small poles actually produce a larger radius of power compared to these big electric poles, and the medium ones produce a larger radius of power than the small ones. And they also run wires a little bit further. So I got a pump jack there. You can see the little icon here saying it's out of power. I'm just going to use one of these because it's close enough. Okay, so that's producing oil now at a slow rate. But if I produce a storage tank, and I also need to produce some pipes here to run that, and I'll probably eventually get some pumps to run that as well. Let's see. And they give you these little alerts. Oh, that is a pretty large attack. Let's see if I can see that. No, I'm probably going to be too far away. They'll probably be dead by the time you get to see it. And they're kind of hidden in trees. Oh, another upgrade. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I'll upgrade that. Okay. Back over here. Now I'll install storage tank. And given how crowded this area is, I think I'll probably do oil production maybe somewhere down here. So I'll put in this storage tank here, and I may as well just get another 6 pump jacks. There's no reason not to. I've got a lot of iron over here. Let's just grab a bunch of it. Make some more pump jacks. And all this stuff that you see in here, all this stuff can be produced in an automated fashion. I don't have to do this right here. It's just this right for the moment is going to be easier than setting up a production line to do it for me. I also need some more storage tanks, and I'm going to need some pipe to ground. And probably just some more pipe in general. So yeah, in terms of weapons, you can see I've got a rocket launcher here, the ability to make rockets once I can make explosives. Landmines. They really flesh things out here. These alien artifacts I can turn into this purple science, which I could see if I can open that up again. There we go. I could then use that to work on, let's see, somewhere. There you go. Increasing rocket damage and stuff like that. I mean, I know there are technologies I've currently got access to that I'm not taking advantage of because this game gets pretty deep, and I just haven't really looked into it just yet. Let's see. What do I have? Oh, they're still working on the parts to make the pump jacks. Wow. And that's really not even enough to fill out the ones I was wanting to do. I'll go grab some more steel. And see, the neat thing here is, like, you can see here how every single time I'm running over here to grab a little bit of steel, I'm picking up stuff, and I'm emptying the entire line. Now, it's not really necessary to have it just sitting here clogging up the line. What I can do is I can set a box here, and you may look at that and you say, well, there's copper there too. You don't really want the copper, you want the iron. And that's true. Well, all I have to do is get a filter inserter, and now I'm waiting for the pump jacks. Let's see if I've got a... I'll install that there in just a minute. But you can see over here I've got another filter inserter, and that's because this... man, I gotta work on the stone production. It is at a standstill. Oh, man, every time I try to produce something, I remember everything's full. Inserters. I will use these inserters in the boxes just to temporarily create more inventory. So now they're emptying the boxes to fill the other boxes, effectively creating a larger space to store stone bricks. But when this is constantly running, oh, actually it's been fixed. It's been cleaned up enough. One of these was producing just a little bit of iron. This one right here was producing a little bit of iron slowly every once in a while. So having this filter inserter set up here with the ability to detect iron ore, pick it up and drop it off here, I was able to just add it to my iron ore production line. So that's a way you can mine things that are right next to each other without having to worry about the different materials contaminating the lines. Because let's say that I were to have stone end up in this iron line and it slowly builds up. Well, these machines are almost always filled up with whatever it is they're making, just because I do not currently have this set up properly. and I definitely need to work on that to get it so it's coming out of here evenly. But even if it were, I'm also have drastically increased production recently, and I'm not consuming as much as I'm producing, so these things are still going to be full. So the thing to keep in mind is, let's say I've got this thing full of iron ore and iron plates, but this area starts to build up with stone. Well, the stone just keeps building up further and further back until the entire line's blocked off. This thing's no longer even producing iron, and it can eventually drain the entire line out as these things will start emptying, and then suddenly you'll have a whole bunch of furnaces with no material in them. But then eventually they'll actually start producing stone as well, and then you got stone running down the line, which will end up clogging up other parts of production. And you can see here this coal extractor has finished what it's doing. Oh, just a real quick look on that. Modules. You can use modules that you produce to increase certain aspects of these drills, making them more efficient so they consume less power, making it so that they consume more power, but they also pull things out of the ground faster, stuff like that. So I'll pull that out of there. And yeah, I don't really have a need to plop it down anywhere else just yet. But I got my filter inserter. Drop it right there, tell it to pick up. Let's see what else I can put in this. Laser turret damage. Well, it's not powered at the moment anyway, but I'll just tell it, I want you to pick up steel plates. Now, if I were just to let that go immediately as soon as powering that thing on, it would fill this entire crate, and it would just automatically keep doing it, keep pulling steel out of the line until the line's empty. These things aren't producing as much anymore because they're not getting the steel they need. So what I can do here is I can say, well, the most I'll probably need at any point in time is like 3 or 4, so I'll set this up to there. And at that point I'll just use this. This thing's pulling steel out, dropping it in there, so whenever I come back over here I can pull that all out. The line will have built up a little bit more by that point in all likelihood, and I'll be able to, as soon as I grab that, it'll start filling that box up again. Now I'm actually probably just going to increase this up to like 2 or something like that. But you can see how much more iron is being produced with the replacement of the stone furnaces with steel furnaces. Now then, what was I? Oh right, the pump jacks. And I still need 2 more. Let me see if I can just grab the other materials I need, because it can take some time to produce these iron gear wheels and electric circuits. More so for the circuits than for the gear wheels. But I can get both of them right over here where they're getting ready to run in to make these inserters. So I'll grab a bunch of these. Alright, that should probably do it. Yep. And so it's just having to produce the pipe and the pump jack. Let's see. There's that. Okay, now I've got the rest of these so I can start dropping them. There we go. Right. I'll wait for the other 2, and I'll set this up over here. Now these have certain entry points to them, and in their current rotation it's to the left at the top and to the right top at the left, bottom right, and right bottom. Now if I were to just drop it in here like here, it wouldn't connect, so I got to rotate it, and there we go. Now I'm also going to need to go under this coal line, which I specifically led away from the oil field so that I wouldn't have any interference issues. You use a pipe that goes under the ground, and you can see from that little hash mark thing exactly where it's going to come out. So I'm going to go with that right there. Oh, yeah, that works. Okay, now I'm going to need more pipe because I'm fairly certain I used up all the pipe I was holding. But that should do it. Now then I'll drop on these right here. I got to run power to these. It's not connected to anything. Let's see. Dang. Problem is all these little tiny power lines all right around it. Let me go grab some more steel, which you'll get to see that working now. I mean, you saw it before, but... Alright. Let's grab that. Saw a turret was firing, I'm not sure where. You can see already, though, the way that the number of alien camps is continue to increase. Now if I wanted to increase the rate at which I see more parts of the map, I just add more radar stations. Let's see, what was I? Right, power. So I'll get a couple of, let's get 4 of them, may as well. Okay. There's that. There's that. That's still not connected? Ugh. And it's not going to be connected without not connecting to these. Anyway, that's done. So let's see, I'm going to run this over here. And now you can see I've got oil running out of here, and it's actually running under the coal belt into there. And I'll just connect this. Actually, I'll want to, as much as possible, try to keep the main lines of movement through the area clear. I'm going to need more iron. And at some point I just need to set up a factory that produces pipe constantly. Okay. And then I'm going to need to run this out one, then get a couple of these. Okay. Go. It's only a 1 gap, but it's still a gap. I can still move through there. I can't move across pipelines. And I'm going to have to move that power because it's currently sitting... actually, I don't need it. That's nice to know. Run this right here. Actually, I'll do... yeah, no, that'll work. Although, yeah, I'm going to do it like that. So that I can also run it around. Oh. And I'll need more. Like that. And then I'll run that. Just make a bunch of them. Okay. That, and I should just remove that. And let's do that, and one of those. Okay. And there we go. Now let's see how that's filling up over here. Now it's a slow process to fill these things up, because like you can see, these things are only producing a little tiny bit at a time. Overall, let's see, 0.4, 0.8, 1.4, 2, 2.4, 2.8, and 3.2. 3.2 oil per second. So it's a fairly slow process, and while these things never really fully deplete, they will eventually get down to where they're producing very, very, very little, and they will not actually be something that you can exploit effectively. But yep, these tanks will slowly fill over time. That's good, because I'm going to need that oil. Alright. Man. Keep on increasing that. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else at the immediate moment that I want to show you. Interesting. Yeah, there are a lot of things in here I have not even touched. Like you can see logistics robots, construction robots, passive provider chests, storage chests, RoboPort. All these things I really actually should really be looking into. Red and green wire, and then these arithmetic combinators, decider combinator, constant combinator, and power switch. All things I want to look into, because I really actually want to try to get to where all these things are basically running themselves so long as I set them up correctly. And let's see if there's anything else at all. I think that's it for the moment. So, anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will return in the future with another video. Again, this is Factorio, a game by Web, and again, I'm only assuming that's how it's pronounced, or yeah, and that's as close as I think I can get. Now, it has a free demo on Steam, which I would recommend you check out, and it's 20 bucks if you want to buy it. And I would recommend it absolutely. Especially, like, this is a great game. I mean, I like things like Minecraft, and this is like if Minecraft's redstone really was something that you could effectively use. I mean, you can. Obviously, people have built computers and stuff like that, but this is the next. This isn't even like next level. This is next generation sort of automation that you can get compared to what you can do with Minecraft. So, again, My name is the Irresolute Cartographer. This has been the game Factorio, and I'll be back with more videos on it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.